All right, I've let my wife have her garage bay back, and I've moved this project out here to the barn. Done a little pushing and shoving on it. It's pretty close to where I want it. I'm going to go ahead and sand this down with 80 grit, and then on the back side I'll do a little bit more repair work. Okay, this is the product I'm using. It's going to be the Bondo 3M bumper repair kit. Since I've got two issues, these aren't just big scratches. This is actually a tear all the way through the end of the bumper. I'm going to need to repair the backside first before I tackle the front. Also, this was blown out all the way through. It was a complete tear all the way through. So I'll probably need to repair this on the backside also before moving to the front. I hope there's enough material in this, but I have a sneaky suspicion there will not be enough material. I'm just going to work till I run out of material and see what happens. Okay, this is what the package comes with. Got an assortment of sandpaper. Got mesh for repairing the backside of the damage. Adhesive promoter, got 2 packages of that. And we have 2 different batches that I can mix up for bumper filler. So you got your bumper filler and your hardener. Mix those together and get after it. It says we have a work time of 5 minutes. It is probably in the 90s right now, so I'm thinking very seriously about pushing this off until early morning when it's in the probably upper 60s. I suspect with the temperatures that we're having right now that my work time would not be 5 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and prep everything. I'm going to go ahead and cut the mesh to the right size. I'm going to clean all the surface area real good, make sure it's good and clean, and then tomorrow morning I'll get after it. Okay, it's next morning and sun's just coming up over the trees. I've kind of cleared my work area here a little bit, just using the materials that I need. I've got my sacrificial board here for my Bondo. I'm going to try to divide this up where I can put a couple of coats of this stuff in here and sand it down, then put another coat on there and sand it down, all that good stuff. Because they don't give you a whole lot of material, so I'm going to have to really finesse this. So let's get started. Sure I get it all out. Probably should use that side first, but that's okay. Yep, a little bit more in there. Now this of course won't activate until I mix it. That's the hardener, this is the filler. The kit came with its own adhesive promoter, but I went to AutoZone and bought the U-POL multi-surface adhesion promoter. Always a good idea to read the instructions. I'm supposed to put this on and wait, 10 minutes? Allow 20 minutes before repainting and 15 minutes before handling. Supposed to shake it for 2 minutes. Just going to put 1 coat of that on there, let it set, dry, and then I'll begin work. All right, we're going to start this project by taping off the front side, just so no Bondo squeezes through. All right, let's go ahead and get this show going. Okay, there's half of that. Right there. And here we go. And remove the excess off of that because I need every stinking little bit I can get. Let's get our screen in. Measure that in good. It's kind of like wetting when you're doing fiberglass. Jump up here to the top one. Okay. Wipe that off my scissors so I don't Bondo my scissors closed. Get that all in there. I'm going to get a little bit on the back side of that screen. There we go. I like the looks of that. As you can tell, I've still got quite a bit more material to work with, so that's good. The more the merrier. Catch the edges down here, flow it all into that corner, a little bit of sandpaper, and we can correct all that, any excess. I can feel it kind of starting to set up on me. And then make sure we got all this everywhere we want it. Cover that screen as best as possible. I'm going to need to quit jacking with it before long because it is hardening up. That one's already setting up pretty quick. That's it. I don't know if that was 5 minutes or not. I'm not so sure it was. Good thing I didn't do this in 100-degree weather. That would not have worked. All right, I'm going to take this time to clean up my little spatulas. Just a little bit of mineral spirits on that. I'm sure we'll cut it. Yeah, cutting it just fine. Ooh. Well, that's setting up fast. Oh boy. Yeah, need to get some more mineral spirits on that. Looks like I'll be able to salvage it after all. I'm going to use the remainder of this. After that sets up, I'm going to go to the front and do a little work. Okay, tape's been pulled off the front side of the bumper. I'm going to take a Dremel tool and just slightly widen out this split right here. It's kind of like crazing on fiberglass. Kind of spread out that crack and then you can come back in and fill it. Got a couple of scuffs here that I'll put a little bit of Bondo in just as a filler. And then this is where the puncture was, which you can't even see the puncture anymore. I'm going to Dremel it out a little bit also. Alright, pretty much like that. I'm going to continue working on this split and then the puncture. Okay, I've got a nice little channel on there on both of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and touch this with 80 grit again just to make sure there's no little rubbery edges sticking up. And I'll wipe it down, clean it real good, and we'll mix up the next batch of Bondo. Okay, so I've sanded it down, looks pretty good. I've wiped it down again, made it nice and clean, and then I applied some more adhesion promoter on it. So I'm going to give that a few minutes, and then we'll get after the Bondo work. All right, I'm mixed. It's time to get this started because we all know I don't have much time. Supposed to apply this just a thin coat, and come back and apply another coat after sanding. You don't want to goop it on real bad. These are very small, shallow gouges. One coat will probably even do on that. I think that's plenty for the first coat on that. Now I'm going to come back over here and do a little work with a larger spatula and do a little quality control on. All right, she's already starting to set up. I'm going to let that set and dry. Now if you start to spread this out, make sure you don't have any shiny areas. Make sure that shiny paint has been dulled up with some sandpaper. Now keep in mind, this probably isn't really what you would call a how-to. This is a how I do it. Somebody that has never messed with this kind of material ever before in his life. So I'm basically showing you how I do it and show you that, you know, anybody can jump on these projects and tackle. So don't be afraid of it. Just get in there and get after it. I've come back, I've sanded this with 80 grit, got it kind of feathered down at the edges, worked my way all the way around. Now I'm going to mix up another batch. I see I've got a spot here that I missed, and then I'm going to go back over my areas again with another coat of the Bondo. Let it dry, sand it, and just keep repeating the process probably 2 or 3 more times. Anyways, I'll eventually work this all the way down to like 320. Pretty warm out here, so it's setting up fast. So I'm having to take this blade slowly across there so I don't wind up with any ripples. But it's looking pretty darn good. Well, like I said, I'll let this cure out and then I'll sand it, put some more adhesive promoter on it, and do it one last time. And that ought to take care of any pinholes or such as that. Alright, I've let it cure, and now I'm hitting it with 150. I've backed down from 80 down to 150. I just felt the 80 is just a little too aggressive at this stage. Alright, I got it sanded down. You can still see some low spots. The dark areas are low spots. So I've still got a few, but they're very shallow. Alright, so I want to mix up my final and last batch of Bondo. Once I sand that down, then I'm going to sand the rest of this shiny off with somewhere around 200 grit, and then hit it with the sandable primer. I'm going to have to mix this stuff up just as quick as I can go, because I guarantee you it ain't 5 minutes set time on this stuff. It's got to be right at 100 degrees, might even be more. Yesterday I think it was close to 110. Oh, shit. Didn't mean to do that. Ooh, this stuff is already setting up. That's all right. I think I got it. Can't play with it much longer though. This looked pretty good up here, but I'm going to go ahead and throw the excess up there. Not even going to jack with it. Going to let that dry, and I'm going to sand that down. Clean up my tools, wait for that to dry. All right, I've sanded it down quite a bit. Got it really smooth all the way across here. Now I'm going to touch it one more time, but I'm going to drop down to 220. And then I'll probably sand the entire bumper. All right, now I'm going to get a sanding block and drop down to 220. All right, so I have sanded the repair job down to 220, and now I'm just going over the rest of the bumper and make sure there's no shine to the jet boat. I live right on the north side of the lake, and anyways, I'm sanding the all the gloss off of the paint, getting it down to where it's just a dull finish. And then I'm gonna probably figure out how to hang this thing and shoot it with primer. So you haven't missed much except me sanding. All right, I've got my bumper hung. All I did was connect to the ridges on my garage door, suspended it with some ratchet straps, and I'll bring these clamps down to the surface there. All right, now that the dust has all been blown off of it, now I'm going to wipe it down real good. Okay, now the tedious part of taping down everything that I don't want painted. This is something you just have to take your time with. Might have been better to do that while it was sitting on the workbench instead of swinging in the air. Oh well. I can still get it done. Okay, she is taped down, degreased, and ready for a primer. So I'm just going to take my time with it, put a thin coat on it, come back and put a second coat. Okay, reading the back of this U-POL sandable primer, it suggests using the, it recommends using the adhesive promoter. So I'll put the adhesive promoter on there first and then go to the primer. All right, I'm going to film a little bit of this. Unfortunately, the yard is backlit the camera, so it makes everything dark. So I'll just walk around with the camcorder, do a little bit of filming. All right, and I think you guys get the idea. Okay, adhesive promoter's been added. I'll let that sit for a few minutes, and then I'll come back and do the primer. All right, it's about time for the primer. Using U-POL multi-surface. Nope. All right. About time for the primer using U-POL Expert Sandable Primer. I don't know where the expert part comes in, but there it is. Put on a thin coat, then I'll wait 5 minutes and apply a second coat. I might even do a third, just for funnies. Definitely don't want to baby the trigger because it'll come out splotchy. All right, I'm gonna put the camera down so I can concentrate on this. So I came back and hit this where it was kind of light. Had to kind of get the feel for the sprayer. It's looking pretty good all the way down through there. I'll give this 5 minutes and then I'll repeat the process. Okay, it's time for a second coat. Okay, second coat's applied. Looks really good. I will not be able to do a third coat because I'm out of primer. So one can will do 2 coats on a bumper of this size. All right, let it dry, and then I'll sand it down to 400 grit and prep it for paint.